Yo, what's up YouTube? It's Coop, and today we talking about a Stasis Titan build that's got a massive glow up thanks to patch 9.1.5. This thing's crazy good now, like pre-nerf Warmind Cells level room clearing. It's got insane ad clear, it's got strong single target damage, it just feels amazing to play. I first saw this build on Reddit, so big shout out to the original poster. I'll drop a link in the description. Let's jump into what makes this build absolutely shatter everything in sight. Here's the subclass setup on screen. Pause and take a screenshot if you want it for reference. If you're lazy like me, I'll put the full dim link to the build in the description below. Here we are at the shooting range, testing our damage numbers with no modifiers active. Let's get into it. The grenade we're using is the Glacier Grenade. This thing is key. It instantly spawns stasis crystals on throw. It gives melee energy on hits. It creates shards when shattered that refund more melee energy, so every throw is basically recharging your melee abilities. Our first aspect is Howl of the Storm. This is the bread and butter of the build. When you sprint, slide, melee, you create a wave of stasis crystals that freeze anything they touch. They deal massive damage and generate tons of stasis shards when you shatter them. The synergy here with the Synthoceps exotic gauntlets makes this build flow like butter. Our second aspect is Tectonic Harvest. This ensures that shattered stasis crystals explode for massive AoE damage. This also allows shattered stasis crystals to generate stasis shards. Each stasis shard that you pick up grants melee energy because of this aspect. And they grant frost armor on pickup for insane damage reduction, survivability, tons of melee damage. It's very, very good. It's the yin to Howl of the Storm's yang. Alright, let's talk about fragments because this is where the build gets cracked. Our first fragment is Whisper of Fissures. This increases the damage of shattered crystals, and it makes frozen enemies take increased damage. So if they're surrounded with crystals and you start blowing stuff up, because they're frozen, they're going to take insane amounts of damage. Our second fragment is Whisper of Shards. This fragment is here explicitly to boost our grenade regeneration, because we want to chuck that thing out. That's just extra stasis damage, extra tectonic shards, that's just extra. Our third fragment is Whisper of Conduction. Whisper of Conduction makes shards track to you, so you're always picking them up without breaking a stride. You don't have to go hunting for anything, and this ensures that your melee is always topped up. And as an extra bonus, a little sugar on top, you'll always be at maximum frost armor stacks, which allows for insane damage reduction, survivability. Our fourth and final fragment is Whisper of Hunger. Whisper of Hunger increases melee energy you get from shards, which keeps the cycle rolling non-stop. When put together, this package is basically infinite abilities, infinite shards and infinite explosions. Let's briefly talk about stats. My health stat is 112, which is fine, and my melee stat is 160, because Whisper of Hunger is a whopping minus 20 to your melee stat, which negatively affects our melee stat damage. Remember, melee stat over 100 boosts damage, not the cooldown, so we use a primary weapon with attrition orbs to keep our health and melee fonts topped up. On any other subclass, our melee stat would be 180. And it would be 190 if we were on Arc or Strand because of Fragment synergy. For our exotic armor, we're equipping the Synthoceps Gauntlets. These are the key to our melee power, massively boosting your damage when you're surrounded by enemies. This build makes it easy to dive into a crowd and stay there safely, ensuring you always have the damage buff active. Now for the fun part, the weapons you'll be pairing with this setup. It can completely change the gameplay. For boss damage, use the tractor cannon. Raw single target damage, nothing beats the tractor cannon. Numbers it put up during our test is just silly. Without any mods active, we did 150k. With Brawler and Stasis Surge, a whopping 360k damage. So yeah, tractor cannon is the ultimate, flat out, undisputed bossing king of damage. Until something else broken arrives, you know? For room clearing and just general mobbing and any other content, I highly recommend Icebreaker. It's incredibly fun. It'll clear a room with ease. The synergy is fantastic Your melee freezes everything around you. You create a field of stasis crystals. Thanks to the Icebreaker's unique perk, those frozen enemies take bonus damage, and your exploding crystals hit even harder. So you can shoot the crystals or the frozen enemies with the Icebreaker, and it triggers an ignition, and it just clears the entire room. This creates a constant satisfying loop of freezing things, shattering crystals, exploding enemies, and everything recharges your abilities, so you can just go on doing it. Let's talk about the gameplay flow real quick. You start by chucking your grenade, or do the slide melee with Howl of the Storm to spawn a bunch of stasis shards everywhere, freeze up a bunch of enemies. Then you can either shoot it with your kinetic weapon, which is just as fine because the explosions from the stasis crystals is enough to decimate most trash adds. You can shoot it with the Icebreaker, which causes the ignition and the explosives from the stasis shards, which is insane amounts of damage. Or you can slide into the stasis crystals, which also trigger the explosions. There's many different ways to blow up those crystals, but that's where the chunk of your damage is coming from, the actual crystal shatter damage. Or if you're using Icebreaker, the ignition and the shatter damage. But that's pretty much the gist of how to play it. You slide, you do the uppercut, you throw a bunch of ice, you then run into the ice and slide. It breaks all the ice, and because you're causing so much damage so quick, your super energy is just ramping up like crazy. You'll always have your super. And that's it. That's the PvE Stasis Titan build in all its icy glory. If you love fast-paced, high-damage builds that make you feel unstoppable and give you insane one-shot bossing capabilities, well, look no further than the description bar. I got the dim link down below. Credits to the guys on Reddit who actually came up with this before me. Yeah, if you found this helpful, drop a like, hit the sub button, and share it with your fire team. Thanks for watching, Guardians. Stay frosty. Until next time. Peace.